Well, that just sounds like Rogue from like X-Men. It's like,
Yeah.
Although I'm sure that's probably been compared. I guarantee you, in like the 60 odd years of X-Men, someone's been like, someone called Rogue ISIS at some point.
What? A reference in X-Men? No, you want to know something that always. Well, I'm gonna go on my. This will be my last political rant.
No, feel free to.
I love how X-Men. Like, I get these people who like complain about like politics in their comic books.
Even though most comics are
they didn't
political.
have politics in my comic books back in the day, and I'm like, did you ever like read anything or watch anything Stan Lee actually said?
Yeah. Stan Lee himself in each issue would have like a political rant.
Yeah, like Stan's literally called Stan's Soapbox.
Yeah.
Where he would just rant about whatever he wanted.
And the X-Men is a queer story. It is. Yeah. That's a fact. And
it's a queer story. It's about people of color. It's a whole. Yeah.
And these people are the same people who love the Punisher. And you're missing the whole political point of the Punisher.
Yeah. But
do go on.
No, I just like that was just something that I remember specifically. I'm like, oh, I hate the same thing about when they say the same thing about Star Wars. I was like, there was no politics in Star Wars.
It's all political.
And there was certainly no black people. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, there was no Lando.
Yeah, exactly. There was no Lando, and there certainly weren't something called the Stormtroopers. I wonder where they got that name from.
Yeah, our heroes, the rebellion, taking down the evil empire of Stormtroopers.
Did you ever hear that there is we are closer to the original Star Wars? We have more time between us and the original Star Wars than Star Wars in World War II. So it's like
that's wild. Yeah, holy crap.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And so I'm always like, as someone who makes quote unquote art, I hate when people always make this idea because like you don't live in like you don't live in a bubble. No. So anything that I do, even if I say I'm not doing something to be specifically political, like the world we live in is just going to affect what we write, or what we make. It just inevitably will. And the thing is, George Lucas specifically, not only like, it's not like he was hiding it. He like straight up admitted like the Emperor in the prequels is my allegory for George W. Bush and the war in Iraq. And I was like, yeah, he like literally said that.
You can see it. You can totally see it. Yeah. That makes perfect sense. And it's just, these people, they don't get it. They don't get it. Politics affects everything. In fact, to quote a famous feminist phrase, the personal is political. Everything is political in some way. Even Batman. Batman's political.
Well, I mean, everything about the Nolan trilogy is an inherent reaction to the post 9/11 world, basically.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, totally. And you know what? And as of recording this week, I'm in an Aliens Facebook group. And did you hear the news about the Aliens TV show? They were saying, it's going to be about inequality. And a bunch of people
losing their mind.
A bunch of people lost their mind. They were like, "What? This is terrible. This is a disgrace." And I had to just comment. And I don't usually comment. I was like, "Have you watched the previous Alien movies? They are all about that."
Yeah. I was about to say, I was like, the Weyland, what is it?
Weyland-Yutani.
Yutani, yeah. That corporation, they're supposed to be an evil conglomerate.
Yeah.
It is who is willing to sacrifice the full crew, like in order to get this creature for their weapery.
That's the plot
like
of the
that
movie.
is the plot. I'm like, dude, it just drives me. I'll say this about it. This is, here's my little rant about why I sometimes will get upset with some of these stories. It's because Disney is making these stories. And as much as Disney wants to not associate with being a giant evil corporation, they are a giant evil corporation, who, of course, I am desperate to work for.
Hey, get your money where you can. You're living in a capitalist world, so exploit it.
Exactly. So when I see them do their little pride flags, I loved how... who's the creator of Gravity Falls?
Alex Hirsch. Yeah.
Alex Hirsch, his call out to them, Disney on Pride Month.
He's like, since
glorious.
That show has ended, he is just like, fuck Disney. Fuck everything about those assholes. Don't work with them anymore. What do I care?
And I'm like, oh yeah, and I loved your little thank you to like, the Chinese Communist Party and in Mulan, like so because of that, I'm like, Disney is one of the largest perpetrators of wealth inequality. Like they're hugely like they don't like to pay their freaking people anything. It's like infamous. I like how Disney's like great niece, she's the one who's always all like hating on them. Her last name is Disney.
Yeah.
She's like, screw these rich people.
See, that is a good twist. Whereas you then in Italy get the, I think, granddaughter of Benito Mussolini. She is in politics, and she is a crazy right-wing nut job who like tries to sue people who call Mussolini a fascist. And it's like, he literally invented fascism. Like as a concept, as a political ideology.
Put it into the patent office. He's like, yeah.
Yeah. The word is Italian. It's like, what are you talking about? She's just doing it to be a dick.
The thing in Hollywood though is in terms of like, if you don't want people to complain about your movie being political, it's like the trick is you don't mention it in interviews.
You sneak it in.
Because the thing is like
that is 100% true.
So if you watch like Luca, that's a queer story. Yeah. That's entirely about those two boys are a gay couple.
Yeah.
But no one's talking about it because Disney aren't talking about it. No one's talking about that in interviews. So there's nothing like the Lego Movie 2 is all about gender fluidity. The subtext is right there in front of you.
Well, it's
but
funny
no one said that in interviews, so the quartering wasn't going, what the fuck? There's no one to complain about it.
I did hear, and then like Pixar said, the director called it, and I thought that this was kind of, I didn't buy it. He said it's a pre-romantic time period in our lives. And I go, well, I hate to break it to you, man, but I knew my sexuality at the age of like 5 or 6. Like I was having crushes already. And I'm like, yeah, we aren't sexual in the sense that we want to be doing the down and dirty at that age, but we hold romantic feelings when we're very young.
Yeah, you don't know why or what it is, but you're strangely drawn to certain people, aren't you? Yeah.
My major beef with, and this is good, I have to cut all this, because this is just blatant spoiler.
I love the way we're nearly the same length as the last episode. Yeah.
But like,
we'll wrap up soon.
But no, my major beef with Luca is just like, oh, it's beautiful, it's great, right up until the very end, where they have to point like, no, the kids are separated though, they don't live together. Because they can't, like, it's almost as if they're like, well, let you have, let it be a queer love story, essentially, up until the very end, where it just has to be like, they can't hook up.
But you could argue that is people's experience, that they weren't allowed to be together.
Well, that's the thing. It's one of those kind of complicated things. Because I was saying this to our friend Liz Whitaker, and she was like, I don't particularly have a problem with that aspect. And I was like, well, maybe it is because every single queer love story you see in cinema always ends with them being tragically torn apart and stuff. And
yeah,
it's like,
or dead.
Not just let, and it's just like Disney, for the love of God, not just let this one gay couple be happy together. No, and it feels as if it is them going like, well, let it happen, but in case anyone does notice it, well, it can at least go, well, one of them goes to live with a girl at the end. So what's the problem?
But he got converted. He went to conversion camp.
You could see it more like Brokeback Mountain, though. The way it's like they can't be together.
Well, they'll
meet each other next summer for when they go through puberty.
Yeah, it just feels more like it's not them and actually formally like society won't allow them to be together. It's just more like Disney going like, we can't have these.
Like I'm not saying it is literally explicit in the text, but if you're reading into it, you could argue that like. That's the story. Is like, well, they can't.
How are we
going
to sell this to the Russians? Sorry.
Yeah. No, there's that too. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels just more like, because you could be like, no, these guys will meet up again later on, maybe have a happy life. It just feels like, for the purposes of this movie, we have to go, no, they can't be together.
Oh, that'll be the literal reason. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just more because we just don't want, the homophobic marketplace going, what?
Like Disney
these two guys hooking up, but this is crazy.
Disney are improving, but it's in very incremental steps, isn't it? It's a bit like when they were like, look, Star Wars has a gay kiss between these two women.
That we totally cut out for like all the other countries.
Yeah, and you barely notice it anyway. It's like in the background.
That was the thing where
here's my beef with like all Disney, all their stuff. Like Disney don't like, the problem with Disney saying that they have messages and stuff is that at the end of the day, It's like they want the money. They don't care how they're gonna get the money.
Yeah.
If it's to give you a pride parade, they'll take your money. If it's to like sell out to China, they'll do that. They just want money. They don't care about anything else. And as long as we can accept that, that's like just what it is. I know that that's the case. As much as I like pretend like I'm trying to break into that studio system, and it's like. I'm sorry, but like nobody wants your indie flick that has all this stuff. And not even people like I love how people go and they say, "Oh, I want something original. I want something original." I'm like, no, you don't. You want safe IP, and they're gonna make crap tons of money off of safe IP because no one goes to watch anything that's a little different. Sorry, it's true. So
Sadly,
you know what?
yeah.
We have no one to blame but ourselves.
Yeah. I think I have another one too, like Disney patting themselves in the back again with Cruella, where like we have our first openly gay character.
They said that about LeFou.
Yeah. But the thing, if you watch Cruella, and I remember talking to another one of our friends, Dave Palace, he's like, well, so what's the deal with this gay guy in Cruella? And it's like, yeah, they never actually says that he's gay, though. He's just a guy working in fashion who's a bit flamboyant, and you're sort of left to assume that he is gay.
He's gay.
And he was just like, is that not the same as like the really camp guy in Mannequin back in the 80s?
Yeah.
Or any other gay coded character? And it's like, no. It's not. Like it's just Disney coming out going like, yeah, that guy's gay.
I'm sorry if that's
Please,
the case.
I
Kylo
see what you
Ren.
mean. Yeah, okay.
Scar from The Lion King, I always thought was gay.
I could
yeah.
see that. Totally.
That guy
Like-
from Pocahontas too.
Oh yeah. Okay, there was a lot of queer coded
People
villains back in the day.
assume things. Like when people meet me on a day-to-day basis, they're like, "Oh, that's John. They're straight." Okay. But then I'll dress like in drag or something and go to an event, and everyone assumes I'm gay. And then you have to explain to both sides every time. It's like, well, no, that's not the case. Why are you assuming that? You need to put on a critical thinking cap here. You need to speak to people.
It's hard. Like, I forgot what comedian said this, but I always like, this is how I explain my sexuality. I go, well, look, it's not that I prefer going to Taco Bell, but sometimes you're hungry and it's the only thing that's open. So like
And that works especially well because now, since we last spoke, I have eaten Taco Bell in the UK.
Oh, God.
And
I'm
it is
so sorry.
moderately acceptable.
What? It's total trash.
No, yeah, like as in, I will never seek it out again. I sought it out that one time to try it. I will never go out of my way to have it. But I guess it was fine.
I
can get better Mexican.
Atrocious.
I can get better Mexican food for not much more money, basically.
I'll say this, having now lived in LA, like the Mexican food here is amazing.
Oh, that is not. In fact, I made a quesadilla today on my own that was probably nicer than the one I got from Taco Bell. And I'm not bragging because I'm a bad cook.
I don't think that Taco Bell, because I was all hyped up in the Demolition Man, like, oh, Taco Bell.
Oh yeah, but yes, that's
devastating.
Niall, again,
Awful.
I've said this. That's the foreign Demolition Man, not the UK one.
Yeah, but even at that though, it doesn't really. But just then to get finally after hearing about Taco Bell for so long, just to get in there and been like, oh, this is terrible.
I tell you,
this is like actively awful.
I got a few things from them. I got the Crunch Wrap Supreme, and my disappointment with that was it wasn't actually crunchy.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's like,
Oh, no.
it's kind of soggy.
Oh, I'll say this is my problem with Taco Bell in the UK. And because of the sugar tax, Taco Bell doesn't sell anything that doesn't have aspartame in it as a drink.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hate aspartame. Hate it. I find it absolutely vile.
Oh, most people do.
Tastes
Even
like
people who
plastic.
want to drink diet sodas,
Yeah, and I'm like, this actually happened to me. I remember having to go to Taco Bell because every freaking friend of mine who would end up in Brighton, because Brighton opened a Taco Bell, always wanted to go to the Taco Bell with me.
It's
Like, I, as the
exotic to
American,
us,
must
yes.
really want to go. And I'm like, no. And I keep telling you, I freaking hate this. Why must we keep going to this? Like, I ended up there like 4 times. I was like, oh, God. And so it was right across from Waitrose. And I remember I'd be like, be right back. And I'd walk across, buy myself a Coke from Waitrose and walk back and then order. And then I'd get a free drink with the meal and I'd throw it out. And I'd be like, I don't want this crap.
I'll tell you what, though, I got one thing that was okay. I mean, I got a few items to try it out. The tacos that were like fake beef. They were, because I'm a vegetarian, they were very bland.
Like worm or whatever it was.
Yeah, they don't say. They just say like plant-based protein.
Oh God, God knows, think more legs.
Yeah. Thank you, Chrissy. But I did get just a straight up. I got a bean and cheese burrito, and that was really nice. But at the same time, I thought to myself, I could just make this in my house. I've got these ingredients in the cupboard. I have the refried beans. I have the cheese. I have the tortillas.
The tortilla, like, I'll tell you this, my favorite tortillas it's funny because like you would think I live in the US, right? You know, it's 2 hours to Mexico from where I live. So I should be able to get like amazing tortillas, which I can. But I will say this, Tesco had a brand of corn and flour tortillas.
Oh, yeah,
they were
the
literally
mixed-
corn and flour
yeah.
tortillas. They're excellent. They are so good.
I love them.
Like I was like, wow, this is really good.
Because I'm a big fan, flavor-wise, of the corn tortilla. The corn tortilla is a nicer flavor.
That is the real tortilla
Yeah.
that you usually get.
Yeah. But the flour one has a nice texture to like hold. So that mixture is great.
Yeah. The corn, like I like this. Here's me, like that's one of the things there's plenty of food I miss from the UK, even though the UK
Really?
is infamously bad food. Yeah, I mean the food in general is still pretty bad. Like, and having left, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty bad.
Indian food though, you like that, right?
The Indian food is good. Yes, there is that. I'm trying to think, like a good Sunday roast. I will admit, I still like having afternoon tea, which I actually had to go. I had to find a place, and it was super expensive to have afternoon tea.
Don't worry,
here in LA.
You even have to do that here. Like nobody actually has it in the house. If you have it, it's a special occasion.
Exactly, and it's like I like it. I like your little sandwiches and my scones, and like I love it.
I have only ever actually gone for that 2 times in my life.
You know what? If I make it out there, here's the deal though. I have to go into the UK. When I get there, I have to quarantine for at least 5 days.
Oh my god.
At that point, I still have quite a bit of time before this wedding I have to go to. So I will make it. We have to figure out how to we're all going to get together.
Oh, we'll do it. Hell yeah.
I will have we'll go to afternoon tea.
Hell yeah. I would have normally said, let's do, because the company Brewdog do one where they call it a punk afternoon tea where you get beer and stuff. But Brewdog are cancelled lately because they treat their staff like crap, apparently.
Oh, do they? Like, funny enough, there is one in Brighton. I didn't know that they treat their staff.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of the brand. I literally bought 2 crates of beers off them the day before it came out that they were treating their staff badly. And like 50 former members of staff got together and formed like a group to like expose them and all this. It's oh no,
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I found out there was a couple restaurants that because tipping was never really a thing, and then it became a thing in the UK.
Oh yeah, well here it's still not. It's like still
it's not like
expected.
America.
Yeah,
it's not America, which you better tip or you're just a piece of trash.
But that's
all right?
because in America they don't pay the staff.
Yeah,
Whereas
exactly.
Here at
but
least
still,
there's a
the point
minimum
is,
wage as bad as that is,
Yeah, I have to tip. Like, regardless, I feel really bad if I don't because I'm American. So I would tip in the UK, but I found out from multiple people, like there were different restaurants that wouldn't give the workers the tip.
Yeah, some of them take it.
And so I actually ask every time I left a tip, do you get the tip?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I actually ask. And when they say yes, I leave a tip. Okay, cool.
Well, this exemplifies. This is really going off topic, isn't it? Sorry, Niall. The most English thing I think ever is whenever I get Deliveroo, which you don't have that in America, do you? But you know what it is.
We have Uber Eats, which is
it's like Uber Eats, yeah.
It's Postmates and Uber Eats are the two we have.
So I get that, and I feel bad because I only ever go tip £1 because it's like, well, I'm poor, I'll give you £1. But when they come and drop it off, they always like go out of their way to thank me so much for that £1, and it's like, so that must mean like nobody ever tips them in England, I guess, because they go, oh, thank you so much for that tip. It's like, it was only £1. Okay, but that's England. Like, it's just not expected. If you get it, it's like a bonus.
No, dude, I tip everywhere I go, except in Japan where like you really can't tip. Well, let's actually talk more about this clip because, like,
so Batman and Robin.
Well, we're kind of at the end of the clip, really, aren't we? Like the diamonds are produced.
Yeah. I think it lasts like 25 minutes. I could just cut that as a chunk, man. That was crazy.
Hell yeah, bonus episode.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I've given you too much bonus material.
But this is why you're a good guest. Like, because some guests, it's like not to diss them, but you have to try and get the chat out of them.